video, go ahead and drop where you're tuning in from in the comments so we know we are officially live. And if you are catching this on replay, you can go ahead and put #replay in case there's any questions you would like us to pivot back to after this conversation ends. For those of you who are here for the first time, hello, I am 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭, founder of 𝐑𝐒𝐕𝐏. And I essentially help job seekers find more meaningful careers or more balance, or to take a step back, take a step forward. I essentially meet my clients with where they are at. I've also been doing more and more corporate speaking events and strategy sessions in terms of retention and recruitment, which is so much fun because that's exactly what we're talking about today. So let me go ahead and bring on my very special guest who I used to partner with for the Job Connection Tuesday Collective office hours. Hi.
So good to see you again.
It's so good to see you too. We've got, okay, let me see if this chat overlay will work and see if people's comments will pull up. So I'm not exactly sure how this works. I've got to like put in a ticket to figure this out. But anyways, okay, go ahead, introduce yourself. Let me turn off this like little thingamabob and try to have some coordination here. And share who you are, what you do, how we met, whatever you want to do, and then we'll dive right into how to stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. So you and I met through Now the Collective. We did a lot of work in those. Every Fridays we answered questions together. You actually helped me find my current job. You redid my resume to help me stand out to be the now Assistant Director of Talent and Culture here at the Fairmont. So I can never say thank you enough for that. I've been doing great here, and so amazing. But yeah, so I've been here for going on, I want to say 6 months now. But I do all the hiring, onboarding, everything to that effect here. So yeah, I'd love to answer all those questions.
I can't believe it's been 6 months.
It's been a while. We've known each other for about a year now, actually, I think.
And see, for everybody tuning in, this is the power of LinkedIn. Like, we went from being strangers to being brought in to help answer job seekers' questions together, and became friends and are supportive of each other. And today we're here to support all of you. So everybody who's trickling in, hello, so great to see you. We've got an OG John here, which is so much fun. Love that. So many other people tuning in as well. Welcome, 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 everyone. So today we are here to talk about 5 ways to stand out to recruiters. And let me go ahead and pull up my post to actually remember the order that we said that we were going to talk about them in, because, first impressions. Hello. So here's the thing, like, even though you're a recruiter, you still got support with writing your resume and making sure that first impression was strong, because it's really hard to read the label when you're inside the jar. And so for anyone tuning in today where you're like, I don't want to reach out to help, even HR professionals, reach out for support, because it takes a village to accomplish your goals. Careers are built off the back of your network. Relationships are your biggest assets in your career. And so try not to take that for granted. I don't care what they taught you in school, what type of warped sense of independence you've ever been brainwashed into believing. Relationships are crucial. So let's go ahead and talk about first impressions. What do you think is, like, how do, in general, most people get introduced to a recruiter, and like, what is that first impression that you really see about people?
Awesome question. So there's a lot of different ways, whether it's through your resume, whether it's through your LinkedIn message, whether it's through a referral. So it's actually, I could be your interview. So all of those avenues are so absolutely important. I want to know from that first second what your personality is, because I can teach you how to do all those job duties. That's all great, whatever. Anybody can do the job. I want to make sure you're going to be an amazing cultural fit. That's something I can never teach you what to do. So just show me that amazing, wonderful personality you have, because that's the things I can never teach you how to do. So show me that in your resume, show me that in your LinkedIn message, show me that through Indeed, because you can reach out and message me there. And then obviously show me that when you're interviewing with me as well. I always want to see that amazing sparkling smile. I want to see what makes you unique.
Okay, so for everybody tuning in, basically let people feel you before meeting you. Those foundational job search, professional branding, marketing materials, no matter how many people that say, resumes are dead, whatever, all that kind of stuff, the reality is you want a strong resume. You want that resume to be a reflection of your secret sauce and what value you bring to organizations. And then complementary to that is your sister site, your LinkedIn profile, where it's a social media platform where you can really let people get a taste of your personality. In your banner photo, is it just the standard photo, or is it going to be something that represents you and your brand? In your about section, do you share what you enjoy doing outside of work? Like my husband, he's a director of executive recruitment. He likes to build computers in his free time. Like no one would just like put two and two together. And for any of you who know me personally, I don't cook. Like I go out to eat, I order home chef, but I make really, really good macaroni and cheese. It was like the only thing I ever used to eat as a kid. And now I've got like the secret recipe with a bunch of different kinds of cheese, and you bake it just right. And the trick is not to get the noodles too soft, and then put all of that kind of stuff. I'll give you the recipe if you want it. But
Yes,
like
please.
something like that in your about section to show like what a little bit of your personal side, because anybody can do the job that you can do. It's how you do it that's going to get you the offer. So what she's talking about is letting people not touch you, but like feel your presence, your vibe, because your vibe is automatically going to attract your tribe and get you that offer, or at least an initial phone interview. And so another thing that you said too is sometimes first impressions come out of interviews. That might be the first time somebody's, just that initial phone call. Hey, Tegan just recommended you for this role. Wanted to give you a call. Is this a good time to chat? Why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself? You have to nail that. Tell me about yourself. What is your journey, and have a beginning, middle, and end. And so the secret sauce to tying up that first impression with the tell me about yourself statement is at that very end, have a stopping point. Have them turn the question back on them, or a statement. I'm really looking forward to learning a little bit more about your organization, or I'm really looking forward to hearing a little bit more about the roles that you had in mind for me, or however that conversation may play out. So when you're having that first impression, it is strong out the gate. And this is an intimidating thing for people to do. And so that's my buzzer going off. I don't know. Hopefully they don't have the fun, but if they do, I might have to get out for a second. Okay, so the second thing, it might be my order I just ordered. I don't know how many of you like went from Thanksgiving being, kind of like a really big party holiday to now all of a sudden picking out new china for it. But I'm at that age where that gets me excited. And it's really good my husband's not home right now, because like the 23 boxes that are about to be delivered with new decorations, he is going to have a fit for it. I know he's not watching this, because otherwise I'd be getting a text right now. So the way to stand out number two.
I get caught on everything. My partner works from home, so every single box I get caught on.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing when it comes to, this whole entire debate of like 100% remote or 100% in the office or hybrid model, there are downfalls to working from home. like being busted anytime you order something. And not like you're being busted. It's not that big of a deal. It's, you know, whatever. But like certain things are just, you just learn a little bit more about, you know, the people you live with when you're around them 24/7. Anybody else feel free to drop how you feel about that, about that in the chat as we're getting sidelined. So, okay, number 2, the second way to stand out to a recruiter is with proactive outreach. Earlier, you shared with me a note someone sent you. So tell me a little bit about that note and how, you know, you're a director now. Previously to that, you were an agency recruiter. If you could help people understand the difference on how to reach out to a leader like yourself now, to the differences on how you might potentially reach out to like an agency recruiter like you were 6 months ago, is it different? Is it the same? Like, do you have to be more intimidated because you're a director, or like, is it the same? Like, no, just reach out to me.
Well, it might just be because I'm still the same person I was, you know, then. So no, reach out to me. Hey, I'm super nice. I love talking to people. But what I loved so much about this message is, I don't know how to drop it in the chat. It was, hi, my name. So probably sent this message to 20 other people, but didn't, you know, forget to change it to somebody else's name. So I saw you're hiring for the exact job title at my location. I would love to connect and discuss the position further. With my hospitality management experience, I have adapted a servant leadership approach, and I believe I would be an exceptional candidate for this role. Perfect. I loved it. I literally called her that day, brought her in for an in-person interview the following day, and then offered her on the spot.
Yes. Okay, so tell me, are the things that she dropped, were those, because you said that the initial script might have been like copy and paste repeated, but were then like the servitude leader and stuff like that, were those part of your like organization's principles and leadership values, to where like you felt like it might have then be customized for this specific opportunity?
Absolutely. I mean, it could have just been based even off of like my previous posts, or just like things I posted. Well, like my even profile, so she saw that was something that would be appealing to me. So just, I felt that it's something I would have enjoyed as a post or at reach out. I loved it. Immediately I knew that she would be a good cultural fit, and when I got off the phone with her, I was like, nope, I'm hiring this girl. I don't even know what position. She is just going to be a Fairmont employee.
And that's the power of proactive outreach, is that sometimes, even if there's not necessarily the right fit right now for someone, if they truly believe in you or are excited about you, organizations that have a budget to make that happen will make that happen. And that's part of that first impression.
Absolutely. And then as an agency recruiter, if that had been sent to me with, you know, like an ID number or just a job opening, I would have had that same impression. I would have been like, all right, I don't have anything this second. Let me send this resume to XYZ. Let me do whatever I can. I did that with so many people I'm still friends with. It's just the power of networking. Such a different experience, but still have the same results.
And this is a thing that a lot of people that aren't in the recruitment industry don't know about recruiters. I mean, agency recruiters get paid on commission.
Mhm.
I mean, there's frequently a base salary, but they also get paid on commission. And so as a recruiter, if I, especially as an agency recruiter, but even an in-house recruiter, where I know, like say like an Amazon recruiter, for example, or Microsoft, if this person gets through the loop and is deemed hireable, and I know that they would be a good asset to this organization, but isn't just the right fit for the immediate role that I have to focus on, I will pass a good candidate off to another recruiter that I know works on requisitions, like the type of job that they're targeting. And so if you're really clear on what you're looking for, it makes it really easy for us as recruiters to then say, you know what, I have nothing for you, but I want you here. You would be amazing here. Let me introduce you to a couple other recruiters who I think might, who more frequently have roles that you would be interested in. And like somebody just said, that's the power of relationships. It's, we as recruiters want to create win-win situations. And even if we don't necessarily get credit for that hire, as long as a good hire is being made and we're not passing up on phenomenal talent, we're happy at the end of the day. We're people. We want to work with good people.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as the person's happy and the company's happy, win. It's a win at the end of the day.
Yes. Yeah, which like all of these "dear recruiters, you suck" messages.
It
Like,
hurts.
I think a lot of times candidates maybe have never had that experience for themselves, but that goes back to first impressions. If you have a strong first impression and you build that trust and, you know, proactively build these relationships, it's gonna change the nature of your relationships with recruiters and the nature of your relationship with job search. Like, I had a client the other day on the phone. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm actually excited about my career for the first time ever and having so much fun on my job search." Now, I think she's nuts for having fun on her job search, because job search are not fun. But like, yeah, she's having fun. What? That's crazy.
Go her and go you for
I
making
know.
that happen.
I mean, it's a team, right? Like, she's like got that clarity, went through a program to increase her transferable skills in the area that she wants to pivot to next. It's a process, but at least she has actionable steps, attainable steps to get to her goal. And so that's powerful. And it kind of brings us to tip number 3, which is achievements over skills. And so often recruiters can't go above and beyond people because they're talking about the duties that they do versus what they've been able to achieve and what value they can bring to the organization. And so tell me about the difference between candidates who are, I was responsible for, and then read a job description, versus I was accountable for, and here's my performance evaluation. Like, how do those candidates weigh out to you and their likelihood of being moved on in the process?
So I was so excited about this question. Let me just say that. My first interview question is actually, tell me about your greatest professional achievement. That's my first question to everybody. I love it.
Out the gate.
Right? Yes. I warn everybody. I say, hey, look, my interview is not as fun. It's all, behavioral questions. Take a breath, think it through. We can walk through this together. It's no big deal. So I warn them, So off the bat, one, all my questions are behavioral. I do not ask you a single thing about your work history. I don't care about that.
Okay.
Your supervisor, so if you're interviewing for banquets, that person's going to ask you all about your professional work history. I don't care about that.
But you being in HR care about what?
I care about all of, I care about what your professional achievements are. I care about how you work on a team. I care about that stuff.
So before she finishes answering, take note that you need to understand who you're interviewing with throughout the process, because different people, HR people, are going to ask certain questions because they're accountable for getting certain type of information, where like your direct report or your direct leader will ask other types of questions based on what their priority is. And so with that being said, achievement over duties.
Yes. Yeah. So our interview process, you're going to do a phone screen. And then if you get past the phone screen, you do a panel. You'll meet with your supervisor, the director of operations, the general manager, and myself. It's a lot, but if you do that, bingo, you're done. And we all ask different questions. The general manager is also going to ask you, you're kind of like attention to detail. Leslie, our director of operations, just really hammers those kind of job detail questions. Same thing with your direct supervisor. Me, just all behavioral. How do you work on a team? When was the last time you were late? Those kinds of questions. And it really just turns into a conversation as we're talking.
Those are the best. Those are the best interviews.
It's easy peasy. So by then, I sort of just throw in a question, but as we're talking, we're sort of getting through all those questions.
And here's the thing that people need to understand about interviews that pivot into conversation. It's still an interview. So you still need, when you're chatting, you still need to think about, what is this person trying to figure out about me? What competency do I need to articulate here to prove to them that I can do this for their organization? And so even if it's like the silly question that I always give as an example, just to show something simple that anyone would probably be able to understand, is if you're being interviewed on a scale of 1 to 5, your duties are going to be like a 1 and 2, 3, and your achievements are going to be a 4 and a 5 scale interview, and you want to get scored higher than lower. So tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult customer. Well, I went and got my supervisor. So that's going to be a 1, right? Like, yeah, it is okay for you to get your supervisor, but like your supervisor also wants to hire somebody who's going to have, be able to have enough experience and enough confidence to really be able to address simple enough customer complaints. Where a higher level example would be, well, I analyzed data of the complaints that we frequently had, also looked at the data of customers who were satisfied, went ahead and updated like our SOPs and policies to increase the employees doing things that make customers more satisfied, and put policies in place to reduce how much negative feedback we were getting. And this resulted in blah, 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 blah. And so that blah, 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 those achievements, that takes it to, a 5 interview answer versus that 1 interview answer. So this can be tricky, but even if you don't have numbers to back it up, you can still provide context. So like in HR, typically, like what overarching HR, it's like, well, what are your retention rates for your organization, right? But maybe retention rates didn't change, and you can't use that as an example. There might be factors outside of your control that are making people leave. But when it comes to the employee satisfaction survey and how people feel trustworthy HR is, or feel comfortable going to HR about a concern, and those significantly increase based on the things you've done, well, then now you can put it into context of, I made the work, this initiative made the workforce happier, or whatever is true for you. And so those accomplishments are going to mean something. All right, keeping track of time, and don't worry, everybody who's asking questions, we will get to them. Number 4, asking intelligent questions. So we're going to get through everybody's questions now, but what are some questions that you feel are strong questions versus questions where it's like, you could have Googled that? Like, did you take any time thinking about what questions you actually wanted to ask, and did you really want to do this job? Because if I'm hearing something that's Googleable, and it's not phrased, well, I did research, but I want to back that up with what you also think, it kind of changes the way at least I've perceived candidates. So how do you feel about the questions that candidates ask?
So I'm looking for somebody who really wants to be a part of the team. So I'm going to love those people who are asking flat out that, what does my team look like? What does the culture look like? What does my manager's leadership style look like? So they're asking me, how will I work on this team? How does the team work for me? So they're just like, hey, I know what I'm like. Will the team work for me? I love answering those questions.
Awesome. Some of the questions that I really like are when people are trying to dig to find out like long-term company vision, because then I know that they're thinking about this being a serious commitment to a job, not like a backup plan job. I also really like questions that kind of get in the weeds of details about the role, like, what are the immediate needs and challenges in this role right now? So proactively, I can start thinking about, well, how would I solve for some of these things? There's so many intelligent questions you can ask. And so let's get into some of these chats, and excuse me while I find the questions over here. It says it would be great to connect with everyone on this forum. Yes, network. If you RSVP to this event, you automatically have access to going into networking, and even if somebody doesn't accept your connection request, you can still message them without using email credits. When you attend events like this, go ahead and connect with other people. These are, might be people in HR trying to improve their candidate experience. These might be job seekers themselves. These might be hiring managers who are looking to create better policies within their own organization. So you never know who's on things like this. So it's worth reaching out. So I love that you're doing that, 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭. And then John says he wants to work at the Fairmount. Yes.
You're always welcome, John.
We've got career branding assets. Show that sparkle in a branding video ? Speak directly to the value you bring to an org. So if you feel comfortable creating a video, absolutely do it. We are creating a video right now. This video is going to live on YouTube, my LinkedIn history, my Facebook history, all of that. And someone can come back and be like, you know what, I want you to work for my organization, or I love that question that person asked. I'm going to reach out to them. And so if you have the confidence to go on video and have a conversation or talk about yourself, that can be really a way to stand out compared to what other job seekers are doing. Hello from India. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, anybody who's transitioning from a military role, get at her. Okay, I know I saw questions. Okay, so Steven said, any tips for balancing the line between showing character and remaining professional? I've been told I throw too much nerd.
You're talking to the right person. There's no such thing as too much nerd.
There is. For me, there is.
My LinkedIn says that I play D&D and I love superheroes.
Okay, so this is a perfect example of how two people can have different personal preferences, and every HR person is going to have those different preferences. But here's the thing. If you remain true to yourself, Steven, then it's going to increase the chances that when you are at work, you can stay true to yourself. And you're going to be happier at work because you didn't have to take away some of your self to feel included and feeling like you belong. And so when it comes to, say, like interviewing, for example, and you're like throwing all these technical terms at me, like, dude, I'm in HR. I'm not like the hiring manager who understands all this techie stuff. Like, break it down for me. Please dumb it down, because I'm a generalist in understanding these concepts, not an expert. But then when you go and speak to the hiring manager, like, get in the weeds of all those details. And like, you can say the nerdy stuff like, I can't even give an example because DevOps is like, I only know surface stuff, but I know that there's like jokes between like tech people on like which platform and tool is better, or like silly little comments about like different certifications or whatever it may be. And then it's more of an appropriate place to add those. And so I have seen your stuff, Steven. Your stuff is amazing. And if on LinkedIn, like, continue to nerd it out, continue to be the graphic designer that you are, the compassionate leader that you are, the trailblazer in your space, no problem. But in the interview, know your audience. Okay, and then we've got attention to detail, marketing, communication skills, time management, patience, listening. Yes, these are all things that you want someone to believe is true, especially during the behavioral-based interviewing. Recount a time in your career that you've done those things where it might have been challenging. As an HR leader, having to do riffs during COVID, the communication backlash from people who did that wrong went really viral and has significantly impacted organizations' brands and have even made brands go under. And so there's examples like that where you can say, like, this was unprecedented. I took my what did the person say in yours? The servant leader approach, yes, that is core to my values, to share this devastating news with people. And at the end of the day, it was a terrible situation, but we maintain those relationships and positive reviews. So there's ways that you can go about even talking about the hard stuff. Michael says, tip number 3 is great. Transitioning from the military, often we focus on transferable skills and forget to prepare achievements. And yeah. So especially if you're transitioning from one industry to the other, especially like military or government into corporate or whatever it may be, there's totally different lingo. So not only do you have to think about transferable skills, you also have to think about like translating the language and the industry jargon that you're using to be more transferable. And I know we're coming close to time, so if you need to drop, just let me know. Do recruiters, let me pull it up. Do recruiters fill general jobs like admin positions? I feel like they only work on high paying jobs. That's a great question, Kathy. Recruiters work on everything. There's always a recruiter that's posting a requisition. Now, at some companies, there's no recruiters, right? It's the HR leader that's wearing the recruiter hat, as well as the onboarding and the compliance and the benefits. But at bigger organizations, yes, absolutely. As a staffing agency recruiter, there's actually niches. There's administrative roles, there's financial roles, there's engineering roles, there's clinical roles, there's aviation. I mean, there's so many different niches. And so there's always someone on the other end working on that role. The difference oftentimes comes into like the recruiter's title. And so like at big companies, an executive recruiter is only working on director level positions and up to the C-suite and board. Well, not board, but to the C-suite. But they're having confidential conversations with people behind the scenes to potentially bring on for those C-suite positions. There's technical recruiters who might only be focused on filling software developer, engineer, whatever type of roles. And then there's sourcers who are looking for people to fill pipelines, which basically just means, hey, here's a bunch of people with this skill set that should we have this position open, you might want to reach out to, or because we have this position open, here's 100 profiles that you can proactively look at to save you time on the sourcing part. So there's a lot of players behind the scenes that you might not even realize. Elizabeth says, you are giving such good advice. I'm glad we're helpful. We do make a good team.
We do. We always have.
Preparation prevents poor performance. Say it again. Say it again. If the company is your customer, okay. If the company is your customer in your current company and you know them all, what questions can then be asked? That's a great question. And I love when people are looking to fill internal seats. And so you can, when you know people really well, you can ask some of the more bolder questions like, what gaps do you see me having that you would like to ideally have for the person who you fill this role for? Or I'm familiar enough with this with this side of the business, but let's get into the strategy work a little bit here. What is this long-term plan, or what are some of the challenges that you foresee coming when you're having those executive level interviews, and they know, okay, well, budgets are about to be pivoted, or we're branching out into a new area. Like so many companies right now are heavily investing in Web3 and the metaverse. It's like, who even has that kind of experience? And so you might be tackling on a whole new thing that you might not. For people who are earlier on in their career, you might want to ask questions like, are there opportunities for stretch assignments? I really want to learn a little bit more about this. How do you support professional development? Those can be some fun questions to ask. What would you say?
Also about visibility, I had this happen actually a couple months ago. The employee, it wasn't their dream position, but they wanted to use this as an opportunity to grow. So their big thing was, how much visibility would it be?
That's a great question. Yeah, because if there's not visibility, somebody else might be getting the credit.
Yeah.
All right, we can take a couple more questions because we're at time. We're actually past time. So when asked about salary, do you give a range, or do you ask if they have a budget for the position? So DM me for my salary guide because you're already in the Level Up in Tech program, so automatically have access to my coaching materials. For those of you who are not an existing client or affiliated with one of my corporate clients, you can head on over to my website and get a complete offer negotiation on-demand masterclass that has multiple scripts, tips, everything that you want to consider in that. That is a shameless plug right there. But you could do either. And so when you're preparing for a salary negotiation, it's really important for you to do the research and have a basis to your market value. I would love to be a millionaire. My clients are not going to pay me $1 million to write their resumes. So what is industry average? What is the ROI of working with me? What can people, my dream client, really be able to afford so I can work with the people that I want to work with? So some people are willing to make a little bit less for a company that they really believe in. Some people want to make a little bit more and would be willing to put up with some more things that you wouldn't like. So there's so many ways to consider it. Me personally, I like first asking what the range is, what the budget is for the position, and then saying like, I'm comfortable with that. Full transparency here. You know, base salary, I need to be at here to take an offer seriously, but I can be flexible on my bonus and equity. And for people who aren't in positions with bonus and equity where they only have a base salary, then it might be a little bit wiser to give a specific range. So, you know, let's say you're a consultant and the range is huge. Like maybe some consultants make $150 an hour and some make $550 an hour. Well, you want to do that research and know where you really want to be at to have an educated guess of what is a fair offer. How do you recommend it? How do you go about it? Because I know everybody's so different when it comes to salary negotiations.
Yeah, salary negotiations are so tricky, and I think I even came to you once or twice about this in the past. So yeah, I would always ask what the range is, and I would give a range. Personally, I'm never gonna short anybody. I always, when I'm asking, I always ask for anybody's range. I say, hey, look, what are you looking for? I don't want to waste your time before we move any further.
Yep.
There's
good recruiter.
Yeah, there's no point. I don't want to waste their time, and I don't want to waste my time. We're both busy people, so let's move on if it's not going to work. But yes, always ask what the range is. That's my. And if they're not willing to tell you, okay, but they should be willing to give you a range, and then obviously let them know if that range isn't going to work for you. But yeah, that's how I do it. I always give a range and hope that will work for that person. Otherwise, no point in continuing in the interview process, because I don't want you to take off time off work if it's not going to work.
Exactly.
That's a lot of works. Sorry.
I've got a client right now who the organization's refusing to give out a price point, and she's switching from being a consultant to being a full-time employee. She's interviewing with multiple companies. And so what I had her do in the conversation is just say, full transparency, I'm interviewing at multiple organizations, and the compensation that I have been presented with is between X and Y, and I think that's really fair. However, my sweet spot, although that's not the final determination in which organization that I decide to have my next career move in, is here. And she can confidently say, this is my number, because she's going to have like 5 to 7 competing offers. She already has 2 right now. And so she can play a little hardball, and damn right, girl, you better get your money.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Mom. So this is my mom, guys. She's tuning in from Facebook. She's in horses. So if anybody likes horses, connect with her. And on that note, I'm going to end with this. This is one of the best forums I've been on. Great learning on both sides, employers and potential candidates. Well done, ladies. Relationships. Know your audience, know your strengths. You do you. Julie, let's go ahead and bring you on as one of my next guests. I am loving your vibe. When we were talking about letting people feel you, you can feel Julie's energy right now. Her
Tired.
appreciation of the situation, like the encouragement for other people in the audience to come back and really say like it is okay to be you. So so yeah, this fun. Like, how did time go? I should have known I should have scheduled it longer with it being with All right. Okay, so tell people how they can follow you. Let me turn my branding stuff off of here. How can people follow you if people want to work for your organization? How to best reach out with you? All that kind of jazz.
So I'm right here on LinkedIn, Melanie Hanna, SHRM-CP. If you want to work for Fairmont, we have our own page, Fairmont Pittsburgh. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I always respond. Looking forward to talking to you guys.
Yeah. All right. So everybody who tuned in today, thank you so much. Next week, I do not have a live because I was originally supposed to be moving that day. But today at 2, I'm going to be volunteering with the collective, the office hours that me and Melanie used to do. We are doing as a LinkedIn Live. So anybody who wants your specific questions answered, go ahead and pop in there. If you want it privately answered, send a DM with what question you want answered, and we will answer it on that forum. I appreciate you so much for joining me today. For everybody tuning in, just wishing you the best on your job search journey. It can be a really lonely process, and so cultivate your tribe. It's great to show up and listen in, engage, find that courage to just ask one person a tiny little question. Hey, I see that you successfully did this. Any tips for me? I mean, good people know good people. And so if you're doing anything affiliated with us, you are going to find a tribe of good people who, even if they might not have the right answers for you, even just having that moment of like, it will be okay, things will get better, sometimes is all you need to really keep pushing forward so you're not settling in your career. And so on that note, thank you so much again for joining me. And
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I'll see everybody else again at 2 o'clock. Bye, everybody.